Hi, this is Chris Burgess, and today we are going to configure the Sonitus FX equalizer, which is a plugin in Sonar X3 Producer, to line up with a large format mixing board EQ section, as Loudon showed in his lecture. So on the left I'm showing the list of settings we'd like. Let's start with just the first band. I'm going to show you that you can actually choose that by dragging these little pointers around, and of course for a different kind of filter you get a different effect. Like that. But let's start from flat here. So the first filter is going to be a high-pass filter at 75 Hz. You can either enter the amount manually, or you can use the mouse, drag it, or use the wheel. We'll have gain of 1. And the gain of this is set to 0. It's grayed out. You can't change it, in fact, because you want this to wind up at 0 dB. Next, we'll set a low shelving filter. And this is fixed at 80 Hz. We'll also set Q equal to 1, just to show you that it is a low shelving filter. Let's grab this. There you go. Set that back to 0. And that back to 80. Alright, there's our low shelving filter. 0 gain, which means that you don't see it here, but it's ready to be tweaked as you need it. We're going to save these presets later. Third, let's add a low mid-range EQ. That's bell-shaped, which they call peak dip here. And that goes from 100 to 2000 Hz, so down to about there, up to there roughly. Let's choose 500 Hz as a default. Sort of the first place to start tweaking. We'll also set Q equal to 0.8, 8 to 1 here. And 0 dB also. Then we're going to do a similar thing but in the high range. So this is a high mid-range EQ from 400 Hz to 8 kHz. So it looks for about around there, all the way up to there. So a large part of the audible spectrum is covered by this filter. Since this goes from 400 to 8000, we'll choose 2000 as the default starting point. We'll have Q equal 1 here also. And just to show you that you do get a bell-shaped curve, let's change the gain. But I want to set that back to 0, so that I can just fiddle with it when I need to. And finally, the fifth filter is a high shelving filter, set at 12 kHz. And this boosts or cuts up to actually 18 dB. And of course anything above about 6 is a bad idea when you're cutting, but removing is safer to do. So again we'll set that to 0 as the default value, and Q equal to 1. Okay, so now we've got our settings in place. High pass filter 75 Hz, low shelving filter 80 Hz, low mid-range EQ, which goes from 100 to 2 kHz, high mid-range EQ from 400 to 8 kHz, and a high shelving filter fixed at 12 kHz. We'd like to save these, so to do that you simply click on Save, overwrite the existing preset. So this is going to be our default preset from now on. Yes, overwrite it please. And then if you fiddle with these things, do some project, you've changed everything around, and so forth. Now if I go back to, actually let's show you a tilt there, 3 dB tilt. If I go back to the default now, then my values are there. So I can start my project from these values. Alright, thanks very much, and I value your feedback.